Shivaya Namaha, Shivaya Namaha, Shivaya Namaha. Is the sound and video okay?
Mahadev Swamiji, it is okay, Swamiji.
चलो शुरू करें. ॐ यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वम् यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः. सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि. ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि. वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधाम् बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम्. पूर्णाय बोधात्मने. Though the spiritual goal, why call it spiritual? The ultimate destination is recognized as moksha, the absolute freedom. Yet, Shri Krishna Bhagavan says that there are two types of people who are striving to attain it. One is the type of people who, wanting nothing from this world, zero, nothing, there is not even an unconscious demand for any object of this world or of the other world, celestial world. And therefore there is nothing that they need to do, because every action implies that the action is directed towards gaining some pleasure or continuity of the progeny or wealth, power, position. This is nothing that is wanted. or a general pleasant experience of the world here and hereafter. Nothing of this is wanted by them. And therefore, for them, action as such has become totally redundant. Because this is the result of action. Karma has got these three fruits: putra, vitta, and loka, which is not wanted by this person. And therefore, naturally, if the result is not wanted, then why would he still follow the means karma? Then what does he want? He wants moksha. And this moksha then is through knowledge, and therefore now he is able to pursue the knowledge by relinquishing karma. And therefore, sarva karma sannyasa purvakam jnana nishtha. That jnana nishtha means commitment for knowledge. Commitment for knowledge is there. So one type of people are these. There is yet another kind of a seeker, and this seeker recognizes moksha as his final destination, yet he finds that he still has, in spite of recognizing that everything or anything that is desired, all these objects, putra, vitta, and loka, is not an end of suffering, it is just transformation of suffering. Yet the mind has got such a conditioning that in spite of knowing that it is transformation of suffering, it still hankers for it. Sometimes in some people with a force of vociferously, and in some people it may be weak, yet it is there. The demand is there. May this world make me happy. Hence, in spite of him recognizing moksha is the purushartha, the ultimate goal, yet there is a slight, some sort of a demand over here. And therefore, now we conclude that the mind is yet not prepared to recognize in full capacity the uselessness of putra, vitta, and loka. He may say it, but there is something. Therefore, now he has to strive to gain that purity, wherein even this desire, which is there in a which is very already thinned out, but is still there, may also vanish. May also vanish. Therefore, now this person is a spiritual seeker whose goal is as same as the other person's. Yet he is not able to give up karma, and therefore he follows the path of karma, recognizing that yes, knowledge is what has to be gained. And in order to gain that knowledge, one requires a mind which is no longer chasing objects, popularity, power, recognition, all such things. And therefore, now his nishtha, his determination, his commitment is for what? Though he is committed for knowledge, for moksha, yet in that commitment there is inclusion of karma as karma yoga. Therefore, he does not give up doing the karma, and that karma over here means only the duty, that what is ought to be done by him. And therefore, both the path of knowledge as well as the path of karma over here will lead to moksha. When this is the case, with the difference of Shuddha and Ashuddha Antakaranam, what is the line of demarcation? The mind is pure, or which means devoid, bereft of all the demand. Over here, though the demand has become weak, but it is not bereft, it is not devoid, it may be somewhere there. And that is what bothers. And really speaking, each one of us will know where the shoe pinches. This is the reason why, friends, now Karma Yoga is such an important part in every seeker's life. For every seeker, Karma Yoga, because there is no other way other than Karma Yoga to overcome this impurity, this demand. You see, hence there is importance, a great importance of Karma Yoga. Now, having said this much, there is one doubt which is raised. And that doubt is, in this case, that means the knowledge as well as karma both have got the status of being means to the moksha. Correct? Moksha sadhanatvam is there in karma as well as knowledge. Now the person who is following the path of karma, he does not need to know Atma is Brahman. Does he need to know? All that he needs to know is what is his duty, and him doing that duty as his service to God. That is all that he requires to know. For this, he doesn't need to know, I am not the doer, I am not the experiencer, I am Brahman. He does not. All that he requires to know is that this is my duty, this is what ought to be done by me. And then whatever I'm going to do is my way of worshipping God. Correct? Does he need to know Atma is Brahman in this case to follow Karma Yoga? Of course not. So the Karma Yoga over here, in a way, is not dependent, or there is no demand for the knowledge of Atma as Brahman to follow Karma Yoga. So this Karma Yoga is not Jnana Sapeksha. Karma is not Jnana Sapeksha. Correct. Knowledge is also not Karma Sapeksha. Knowledge will give its own result, moksha, without being dependent on karma. Antakarana Shuddhi is dependent on karma. But when the mind is clear, free from all the demands for any object, now that mind is not dependent on karma. So therefore, the knowledge by itself is an independent means to moksha. And the earlier statement that you have made, that it is through karma yoga that one will reach moksha, that also bestows on karma an independent status as the means of moksha. Got that? And are you able to detect where is the bone of contention over here? Very good. So I'm going to take you through a little rigorous path, and that is my favorite way of doing it. And I will take you through the commentary of one of the acharyas, Swami Shankaranandji, when it has come to this particular shloka. Otherwise, we can simply look at the meaning of the shloka and just go ahead. Okay. Nanu evam sati jnana karmanoho ubhayoho api itaretara anapeksha eva sakshat moksha hetutvam praptam iti chet. That's why what does one see? That it is the karma yogi through the karma nishtha attains moksha. The sannyasi attains moksha through jnana nishtha, through his commitment for knowledge. The one who has relinquished the karma is a sannyasi. So the one who has relinquished the karma is committed only to knowledge, and that is how he attains moksha. Then you have said the karma yogi is committed to performance of karma with an attitude of worship, but his commitment is to performance of karma, and that is how he will attain moksha. When both of these you have said are the paths to moksha, then both these paths seem to be totally unconnected with each other, independent of each other, and yet both of them will deliver the fruit moksha. This is what seems to come from your earlier discussion. Got it? This is what seems to roll out from your earlier discussion. Itaretara anapeksha tesham moksha sadhanatvam iti ched. If this is your claim, then now the teacher says, no, sir, this is not so. How? Na karmana na prajaya ityadi shruti karmano moksha sadhanatva nishedhat jnanadev tu kaivalyam iti itara vyavritti purvakam jnanasyeva sakshat moksha sadhanatva avadaranacha na karmano moksha sadhanata sambhavati. Now, look at that. You know, there is good, and this is a very interesting part, because what has the fellow understood? Both karma and jnanam are independently capable of delivering moksha. Both jnanam and karma independently are capable of delivering moksha. Now the teacher says, no. Na karmana na prajaya ityadi shruti karmano moksha sadhanatva nishedhat. First point is we come across a Shruti which says that the Shruti is, that the Shruti means the sentence from the Upanishad is na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena eke amritatvamanashu. So over here it is said very clearly, it is not through karma that one will gain moksha. So moksha cannot be gained through karma. Now, this looks like the Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita are crossing their swords. They are crossing swords with each other. And we are going to say, no, they are not. In fact, that what has been shown by the Upanishad is very perfectly, without any distortion, Bhagavad Gita is able to reflect the same thing. But the Upanishad has said, na karmana, it is not through karma. And Bhagavad Gita says both the sannyasi, the one who has relinquished the karma, attains moksha. The one who still follows the karma also attains moksha. Now, therefore, at least half part of the sentence is not contradicting this Upanishadic statement, but the other half of your Bhagavad Gita statement is contradicting the Upanishadic statement. Na karmana. So he says, he in the sense, the Shruti says, na karmana na prajaya ityadi shrutibihi karmano moksha sadhanatva nishedhat. Now it rejects the very idea that karma is the means to moksha. Then there is yet another sentence from Upanishad. It says, Jnana devatu kaivalyam. It is through knowledge that the liberation is attained. Moksha is attained. Kaivalyam is attained. Jnanad evatu kaivalyam. This is not an earthquake in Uttarakhand. This, just that it shook because I changed my position of the legs over here. So the stand was this thing. Jnanadevatu kaivalyam iti itara vyavritti purvakam jnanasyeva sakshat moksha sadhanatva avadharanat. So over here, it is only through knowledge. Now, when the statement says it is only through knowledge, that means not through any other means. Eva itara vyavritti purvakam jnanasyeva sakshat moksha sadhanatvam. Now this is what we have understood. When it is said only you come for dinner tomorrow, that means what? Nobody else. Don't bring even your best friend with you. Only you come for dinner. That only word has done the job of rejecting any other person, no matter who he is. Maybe your father-in-law also, anyone, does not matter. No one. Only you. Itara vyavritti purvakam jnanasyeva sakshat moksha sadhanatva avadharanachya na karmano moksha sadhanata sambhavati. Now, if you are going to dwell on this sentence of the Upanishad, this sentence does not allow you to confer the status of being the means to moksha on karma. So karma cannot be called as means to moksha. This is there. Okay. Though this is the case, yet yadyapi jnanameva samutpannam swayam अन्यानपेक्षया पुरुषस्य सद्यो मुक्ति सुखम प्रयच्छति तथापि सत्वशुद्धौ ध्रुवा स्मृति श्रवणात् सत्वशुद्धिं विना ज्ञानम न उदेति. Then what is the role of karma? We are telling you. And now what is the role of karma in the scheme to attain moksha is our question. Okay. What is it? It is here. Yadyapi jnanameva samutpannam. Knowledge which is generated. Samutpannam. The knowledge which is generated. Swayam anyanapekshaya. And by itself means what? By not being dependent on any other factor, any other means or anything else. Knowledge alone by itself is capable of giving liberation. And that means the joy of liberation can be given by knowledge alone. Mukti sukham prayachati. Yet. So there is a comma and a clause. Yet, you know, when you buy something, then there will be one asterisk kind of a flower on top. Conditions apply. Okay, conditions apply. What are the conditions? What is the condition over here? Yadyapi tathapi. In spite of that, sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti. Only when the mind is pure, sattva shuddham, then the knowledge is steadfast. Then the knowledge is steadfast. Sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti iti shravanat sattva shuddhim vina jnanam na udeti. That means the knowledge cannot really take place if the mind is not pure. And what is it that is meant by purity of mind? Mind which is free from desires. Putra, Vitta, and concerning Putra, Vitta, and Loka. Concerning progeny, concerning pleasures, concerning security, concerning Vitta and Loka. Pleasures and security and progeny, the mind is no longer worried about it. Wanting to have recognition, power, position, no, nothing. There are no demands for these things. And therefore, when the mind is bereft of all the desires concerning Putra, Vitta, and Loka, then we are going to say the mind is pure. And without the necessary purity of the mind, knowledge cannot take place. Once the knowledge is generated, the knowledge is capable of giving moksha. No one can stop it. Even Brahmadev cannot stop it. It has to happen. And therefore, sattva shuddhishcha. But sir, how will one have the necessary purity of mind? Though I'm using the word purity of mind, it will be better appreciated by all of you if you understand it as maturity. If you understand that word as maturity. Now, why am I saying it should be it should be seen as maturity or understood as maturity by the word purity? Is because you know how easily you are able to fool a child. Huh? That is how the parents also do. Now they get their work done. You're a good boy, na? Then do this work. So they will get that child do things just like that. Bandam ki tarah. That's why even Freud and all these people also say na, that this is all reinforced behavior, condition. So now, when a person is demanding that the world in some form should always in the world in form of a woman, in form of a man, in form of of children, in form of relatives, friends, in general, should make me happy. Or the world in form of physical objects, mangoes and grapes, things like that, clothes and brands and music, that it should make me happy. Now, when the person sees that happiness is dependent on all these things, then naturally he wants all these things for the sake of happiness. Because these things, money and recognition and children and women and pleasures and things like that, mangoes and grapes are going to make me happy, he says, and therefore I want it. There is a demand. Then what happens? As much as a person is able to understand clearly that happiness is not dependent on any person, any object, any situation, any circumstances, he is able to see that the happiness is beyond all this, not dependent on all these objects, and to the point that he is able to make his happiness free from the dependence on objects. The person has become independent, and understanding this fact makes him mature. Because ultimately, maturity means understanding as clearly as a person is able, when a person is clearly able to understand. Now, even the demand that the people and objects should make me happy and they are meant to make me happy, such kind of foolishness goes away. And therefore, not having such kind of demand, I'm going to say is maturity. This word maturity, then we are calling over here as absence of desire, which is called as purity of mind. And therefore, this purity of mind, the word sattva shuddhi, I am translating it as maturity of a person. Okay? Is maturity of the person. So when there is this purity of mind, it is only then the knowledge can take place. Sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti. The word smriti over here is not just to make meant memory, it means knowledge. When the sattvam is shuddham, when the mind is pure, which means free from all these demands and desires, the knowledge will be firm. The knowledge will be firm. Firmness of knowledge is not adamancy. Firmness of knowledge is not adamancy. It is not even conviction. Firmness of knowledge means that the knowledge is free from doubts, etc. What is jnana dardhyam? Not adamancy. I firmly believe in God. Don't believe, please, because such kind of a thing is already causing problems. I firmly believe in God. Now, this fellow can become a little fanatic and dangerous also. And they already have proven every week there is some terrorist attack, and every terrorist is essentially believing there is a God who is asking, who has sent a written note to do all such things. Therefore, this adamancy is difficult. So, firmness of knowledge is not adamancy. Firmness of knowledge is not an idiosyncrasy. Firmness of knowledge is not even conviction. Far from all these silly things, firmness of knowledge is clarity of understanding. Firmness of knowledge is clarity of understanding. Now, friends, a little further. Sattva Shuddhau Dhruva Smriti Shravanat Sattva Shuddhim Vina Jnanam Na Udayati. The knowledge cannot take place unless and until the mind has stopped demanding objects, things to make me happy. Sattva Shuddhishcha. But how will this mind become free from this demand of, objects to make it happy? So, Sattva Shuddhi, this purity of mind is attained through how can that be achieved? Now he brings you a statement from the Upanishad which shows you what will give the purity of mind. Brahmana vividishanti yajena danena tapasa anashakena. There is a statement from this Brihadaranyaka, the Upanishad, which says this learned Brahmin, by a Brahmin means he is already learned. Not that he is, educated but unemployed and all these things. No. He is Brahmana vividishanti. This person, this learned person, Brahman, has vividisha. He has a desire to know. Veditum ichha vividisha. He has vividisha, a desire to know Brahman. Why? By knowing Brahman, one becomes free. That is it. So how does he have this desire? It is by living the life of dharma. It is by living the life of dharma. How has he lived the life of dharma? By doing his duty. Yajena danena tapasa anashakena, etc. All these things. Iti shravanad yashyadanadi satkarmanushtim vinana siddhyati. Therefore, that sattva shuddhi does not take place without performing the karma. So, by performance of karma, the purity of mind is gained, and it is only in the pure mind that the knowledge can take place. And when the knowledge takes place, it gives liberation. This is the whole sequence. This is the sequence. Ato mumukshoho anutpannatmajnanasya avashyam chitta shuddhyartham karma kartavyam anyatha moksho na siddhyati iti aha. And therefore, for every mumukshu, it is mandatory. It is mandatory, obligatory on his part. Who is this? Though he is a mumukshu, yet the knowledge has not taken place in him, and therefore for him now, in order to gain the purity of mind, he should do the karma. He should perform his duty. Not because performance of the duty is going to give him wealth or going to give him, appreciation from his wife and children, or even it is going to get, the gods to give him all these things. No, it is not for that. So chitta shuddhyartham, why is he doing the karma? So that the mind becomes free from his demands. And chitta shuddhyartham karma kartavyam anyatha moksho na siddhyati, without which the liberation cannot be accomplished. Iti aha. This is what we are going to see. So this is the principle. This is the principle. And we are going to discover this principle coming through the mouth of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Okay. How are we going to find this principle? From the mouth of Shri Krishna. Then where does he say and how does he say? He says that in the verse number 4. And how does he say? Exactly like this. So repeat it. Na karmana manarambha, na karmana manarambha, naishkarmyam purushoshnute, naishkarmyam purushoshnute, nacha sanyasana deva, nacha sanyasana deva, siddhim samadhigacchati, siddhim samadhigacchati. Without following the committed practice of doing one's duty, without following the committed practice of doing one's duty, which now comes through the scriptures as yajna, dana, tapa, etc., the person will not be able to attain moksha. And if one thinks by giving up the karma, just by giving up the duties that he has to perform, then if a person gives up, so in the first case, the person has not even started. So if he does not start, if he does not do, he will not attain. Now this fellow already has started, and therefore he stops. And therefore in both the cases, what is there? Absence of karma, because he has not started. Here there is absence of karma because he has stopped. You see, both of this is not going to lead to moksha. Now there is a very interesting word Bhagavan Shri Krishna uses for moksha, and the word is Naishkarmyam. Naishkarmyam. So thus we have to understand this word, his choice of word for moksha, a synonym for moksha, Naishkarmyam. We have to understand this word. We have to understand over here that Shri Krishna saying that by not doing the karma or by stopping oneself from what he is already doing, one will not attain moksha. And why is he saying so? Because we have seen already the role that the karma is going to play in the scheme of moksha. We have already seen it in the introductory paragraph. Okay. Therefore, the shloka is na karmanam anarambhat. If one does not do the karma, anarambhat, does not start performing the karma, the person will not attain moksha. Or if the person stops doing what he is already doing, if he stops performing his duty also, he yet will not attain moksha. Okay? And this is what we have to see with more clarity, because though this is the principle has already been given to you in the introduction, what are we going to see in this shloka? But to come to that conclusion through the process is how we are going to understand it with clarity. Okay? And therefore, we will stop over here at this moment, 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier today. And we will meet again to go further day after. Tomorrow, we have a guest speaker, Swami Chidananji of Fawai Forum, whom I have known for last 30 years or even more. So he will come to us tomorrow in Rishikesh, and I have requested him to give an online satsang for all of you. He was a brilliant person. I mean, he still he is, and he was a brilliant, outstanding person, one of the toppers from the IIT. But he then took to the life of sannyas, and then, very nice. It would be nice if you can invite your friends or your other people to join the online satsang tomorrow, 5:30 to 6:30, and the details, the link, etc. Aradhana, is the link going to be the same?
Hariom Swamiji, it's already being sent out, Swamiji, on all.
All right, Aradhana is diligent and she already has done that job. So pass that link to your friends and ask them to attain, and you also be present, 5:30 to 6:30, satsang with Swami Chidananji tomorrow. Thank you very much. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha.